the show, and so please do well to send a text message or a WhatsApp message. This morning promises to be very insightful as I have my guests seated. I'm going to introduce them shortly, but before I do that, let me share with you the topics that have been tabled for discussion. And our first topic is that Mozambique threatens to deploy soldiers to quell post-election protest. Also, Alban Bagbin accuses Akufo-Addo Judiciary of violating constitution. And also we'll be looking at MPP disappointed in EC over denial of accreditation to printing houses. And finally, we'll touch on Kennedy Japan warning the NPP against complacency. And here are stories or topics that we'll be touching on in the course of our conversation this morning. Without further ado, I will introduce my guests, and I am in the esteemed company of Councillor ACHIAAA of the Movement for Change, Comrade Kwesi Pratt, and also Ambassador Sampiali. Good morning, gentlemen.
Yeah, good morning.
And thank you for coming, always. All right, so we are hard pressed with time, and so we'll go straight into our first topic, which has to do with Mozambique threatening to deploy soldiers to quell post-election protests. I just give a background of the story and we proceed from there. It says that the Mozambican authorities have threatened to deploy soldiers to quell post-election protests that have engulfed the country after the opposition rejected the results of the country's polls, which saw the governing Frelimo party extend its 49-year rule. Thousands have taken to the street in protest since the presidential election results were announced on October 24, declaring Frelimo candidate Daniel Chapo as the outright winner, with the opposition planning what it says will be the biggest protest across the capital, Maputo, on Thursday. Human rights group Amnesty International said on Wednesday that at least 20 people have died and hundreds more injured and arrested since the beginning of the protest. So this is basically what is going on in Mozambique. Councillor ACHIAAA, I take your 2 cents on this.
Yeah, so, let me wish you a lovely viewers a good morning. Wish yourself a good morning. It's always a privilege to be in the esteemed company of Comrade Kwesi Pratt, and then my own SRC president and our SRC president and then Ichi. A pleasure sharing this platform with you. Now, I think when it comes to issues of democracy and what and how elections help advance a democratic process, I think my views are very clear on them. That democracy seems not to be working because our understanding of democracy in a part of the world seems to suggest that it's just about the voting. And so one views about we think it's voting. Also, how we see leadership. As in for us, we think leadership is just power. We don't see leadership as an opportunity to serve. And so because of that, what is supposed to be a process where the sovereign, the people, because the people are the repository of sovereign power. It's a republic. So we mean sovereign and public, the people. Because we see, unfortunately, in a part of the world, we see it as a means of acquiring power, not as an opportunity to serve. Then we more or less are ready to do anything that will take away legitimacy from this exercise. Because I heard the story you read myself. I've just read the story, and sadly, none of the story seems to tell us the basis for their protest. But the presumption here is that they are protesting because they do not accept the election results. I think Ghana should take a cue from them, as in how we are handling the EC issues and how leadership in this country has handled very basic things, even concerning the appointment of people onto the EC and all. Because we need to understand that the power belongs to the people. You understand? And in this exercise where essentially you are transferring the power to people for a time so that they use those powers to serve you, not to lord them over you, then the people we have granted power, because of the delicate nature of this exercise, because the people will always resist any attempt to subvert their will, their desire. You understand? Even if it means people dying. Sometimes we seem to talk about peace. I know in Ghana you sign some peace pact and all. But people, history, if there's one thing history has taught us, people are ready to resist any attempt by anybody to subvert their will, even if it means they will die. You understand? And so I know the easiest thing for me to do right now is come and sit here and call for peace. Oh, they should understand. Oh, they should go and... But the point is, if there's anything history has taught us, that there's a propensity by people who are sovereign, to resist even at the peril of their lives, where they believe that their will is being subverted. So yes, I can speak to the people of Mozambique that they should allow the legitimate will of the people to be expressed, because even once that is done, then nobody will go on the streets. But also to use Mozambique as an example to Ghana, because the way we seem to be handling these election processes is as if we are playing, right from the irresponsible appointment by the president of people who are perceived to be MPP members onto the EC, putting the EC just by that act, putting the EC in an almost an impossible position. Because the burden on the EC is not just to deliver an election which is free and fair, but the burden on the EC is to deliver an election which will be perceived to be free and fair, because without acceptance, then no matter the results, there won't be legitimacy. And once there is no legitimacy, there's always a chance that people will go on the streets to ensure that their will is done. Simple issues about where people have challenged the legitimacy or the integrity of the register. The attitude shouldn't be that you are fighting with the people. You understand? You should create a situation where you have no cause to doubt the results that are turned out, because, like I'm saying, the purpose of the election, beyond, as in today, I don't want to go into the social contract and all those philosophy, but it simply is a process where the sovereign, and you see, the way we are handling our issues, even with the parliament, we seem to forget the Supreme Court and all, that everything they are doing is, or the power, you understand, behind everything they are doing is because of the sovereign. We are a republic. You should understand that. You see, the Republic of Ghana, we just say it as in look up on us, without understanding the purport of it. We are the sovereign, and election is a process where we, the sovereign, are going to more or less lease our powers to certain people for a time, for a purpose. Understand? And the people will resist any attempt. If it means they'll be killed, if it means they'll be maimed, but the people, and that's what history has taught us, will always resist any attempt by anybody to subvert their will. And I employ the people of this country, I employ the East, the people we're giving powers to learn not just from Mozambique, but from the so many stories in history of what has befallen people or a nation, where people in authority want to use the powers the sovereign have granted them to subvert their will. You understand? And to run an election which will give us the best chance of letting our sovereign will to be realized. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council. Before I bring in Comrade Chris to share his thoughts on this subject matter, I'd like to introduce you to this book, this very book, one of the very best when it comes to understanding the historical perspective of Ghana, Ghana's historic journey to self-government and independence. Comrade Kwesi Pratt labels this as one of the best history books he's ever come across. I have a copy and I have begun reading, and as a student of law, I am very, I would say that this has been very instrumental in the course of my study as well. And so anyone can grab a copy for, I'm not going to mention the price, but then when you call the number on the screen, we are going to have that discussion. We will attend to all your inquiries, and you can also walk into the premises of Pan-African copy. Yeah, thank you. Let me bring in Honorable Ambassador Sampiale on this subject matter. Ambassador, over to you.
Well, historically, I think the Frelimo led the Mozambicans to independence, but that didn't give them the divine right to rule forever. From the story and the history that I know, for the past almost 50 years, 49 is almost 50 years. We are in December, so almost in December, so to be 50 years, I don't think that is right. And even if they were ruling with the measures that recognizes that the people matter than those in power, it will not be a problem at all. It looks like the South African countries that went through the liberation movement and the liberation war, like ANC, Frelimo and the rest, appear to be taking the people for granted. You know, you just saw the ANC and what is happening, and with a lot of splinter groups coming out of the ANC, which is very regrettable for the party of Nelson Mandela to be going through what is going. But you see, once you ignore the people, no matter what you do, the people will resist if they are not ruling in their interest. If you read the Ghana Constitution, it says sovereignty belongs to who? The people. It doesn't belong to the Supreme Court. It doesn't belong to whatever, executive. You understand? And the person deciding to use the army will get it all wrong, because experiences in Africa shows that the military, in cases like that, have never succeeded. They succeed in creating more confusion aftermath of their intervention. And so that will be the last thing anybody should attempt introducing in Mozambique. This can also be worse of when institutions that have been established to be buffer to soften the country when such matters arise are also compromised. And worse than now in our country, you see, when our own situation, every institution that should be ready to save us is also corrupted, you know. So the Ghana Armed Forces, the Ghana Police, the Mozambican Police or whatever, cannot. How many of them are they going to kill? All the Mozambicans. Are they going to kill every Mozambican for protesting or what? Or the government party is also going to raise its own supporters to fight them? That's just the time for sober reflection of the president who has ruled, you know, and been voted virtually out, but is trying to use the system to suppress the will of the people. That is not to say also that where the opposition is also becoming opportunistic, you know, that we have lost genuinely, you're also going to raise your supporters when the situation is not that to be. I believe that in the end, Africa will win. You know, in the end, the people will win. No amount of military interventions, no amount of threats can really destroy the will of the people when they say, I have to defend my country. My dear, the whole of Africa, the history of Africa, it has been the struggle of the people that has brought us independence. Or it doesn't mean the white man saying that I've given you independence, or anybody saying that I've granted you independence. It has been the struggle of the people. So I believe that Mozambique should rise up, because many countries look up to them for the journey of democracy. Maybe one day we would have to find our own method of democracy, but this doesn't seem to be working for Africa. Yeah. Thank you so much.
People describe it as democracy under the guise of monarchy, under the guise of democracy.
Or kakistocracy. Yeah.
Right. All right. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Over to you, Comrade Chrissy Pratt.
Well, first of all, I agree with Mr. Appiah Dankwa that it is important for Ghana and other countries to learn important lessons from what is happening in Mozambique. Because I think that the same principles apply the same methods of evaluation and assessment and so on ought to apply. And it's absolutely necessary, for us who are only 30 days from a crucial election to learn the important lessons. Now, the first thing I'd like to say is that when any government comes to the conclusion that it needs the army to put down the civilian population, that government needs to realize that its end has come. When the police service, when normal political persuasion, when all the other means of resolving conflict collapses, and we have to bring in the armed forces, whose sole responsibility is to defend the territorial integrity of our countries, then it means that the government has failed. At that point, the relationship between government and people is that of enemies. And at that point, no government has the moral authority to continue to be in office. You understand? Now, if the Mozambican government is considering deploying troops on civilians, it means that its own arrangements for persuasion, for negotiation, and so on has collapsed. It also means that the police service has not been able to contain the anger of the people. Clearly, this ought to be the end of the Mozambican government. But you see, our governments don't learn. Our leaders sometimes don't think. And they continue repeating all the mistakes of the past. The record shows us that when we get to this point, coup d'etats become almost inevitable. And I do hope that our friends in Mozambique will learn the important lessons, try to use peaceful means of resolving the conflict before them, seek assistance from friendly countries and international organizations and so on. Maybe that will help. If it doesn't help, perhaps an order for re-election or election rerun may be useful. Bottom line, the government has to give way. I mean, after 49 years, what is it that the government of Mozambique wants to do and has not been able to do after 49 years? Clearly there's a problem, there's a crisis, and it needs to be resolved. Now, in Ghana, some things are happening that we don't talk about, perhaps because we are uncomfortable to talk about them and so on. I've seen all these useless threats from the United States Embassy in Accra that if things don't go well, they will intervene. And yesterday I was reading from the social media that they have denied Brian Achampong a visa to the US, and the ambassador is threatening that anybody that they think is obstructing peaceful elections as well will be denied a visa. First of all, we have to make it very clear that the United States is not heaven. If you don't go to the United States, you won't die. I mean, this whole thing about going to the United States being some wonderful privilege which is extended to citizens as well, it should end. We may have problems with our electoral systems, we may have reservations about our electoral systems and so on, but those matters ought to be resolved by the Ghanaian people, not the US Embassy. Because we have seen what US intervention in Africa, especially in Ghana, has done to us. We don't want the US involved in our elections. They intervened in 1966. As a result of their intervention, today we are having Dumso, and it's clear. Because if the nuclear program which had been started by the Kwame Nkrumah government and the Bui Dam project had not been stopped in 1966, we would not be suffering Dumso today. So they are responsible for it. As a result of their intervention, we've privatized more than 400 state enterprises. Only 2 of them have survived. That accounts for the unemployment crisis that we have. It accounts for, the lack of balance between imports and exports and so on. We don't want another U.S. intervention in Ghana. And if anybody has an idea of massing up the Marines and so on, they should stop. Because they won't have it easy like 1966. There's a clear warning to all the neo-colonial and imperialist forces who think that Ghana is their backyard and that they can walk in and trample upon our rights and do as they please. Those days are gone. There are forces on the ground with the capacity to mobilize to stop useless foreign intervention. NPP may misbehave, no problem. The Electoral Commission may misbehave, no problem. We have the capacity for righting what is wrong without U.S. assistance and other Western assistance. Clear?
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Kwesi Pratt. Our viewers have also got something to say. This message says that, good morning, OHEMAA and your panelists. Africa has made a mark of power drunken leaders whose only purposes of assuming power is to oppress and enrich themselves. But hey, Mozambique's uproar didn't start in a vacuum. The oppressed and the vulnerable have had enough of the elite and political hoodlums, hence the uproar. Ghana is stowing the same path, and if the anger of the citizens arrive, it will spell the end of the political elite. Riyadh from Freetown, Sierra Leone. All right, thank you very much. Let me read a few more. From Jesse Jones, Achimoda, until we get fair-minded, true patriots and courageous people handle the three arms of government, the constitution will just remain a tool for oppression. Bagbin is stamping his feet and fair-minded people are clapping. Is NDC ready to make him a speaker when they are in power? Question mark. And will Bagbin be this firm when his party comes to power? Okay, one last one and we move on. Now this one is from Omale Wayosi Goso. Dr. Bawumia is a man of integrity and patriotism, as said by former President Kufuor. Dr. Bawumia is the man of the moment. I pray he becomes the next president of Ghana in 2025. Greetings to Honorable Evans Opoku Bobie. Okay, thank you very much. YEA Director and Father B. Ahafo Regional Communications Director. Okay, now we have exhausted our first topic for discussion. Now moving on, we are coming down here to Ghana and the recent happenings in Parliament, or the feud between the legislature and the judiciary, it seems to linger. And yesterday, the Speaker of Parliament took the floor and, spoke. And among his assertions, more or less accuses Akufo-Addo and the judiciary of violating the Constitution. Counsel, you are a legal professional. Through what lens do you see this whole picture?
I see through the lens of Ghana. Sometimes you see, the people of Ghana you allow lawyers to bully and tranquil the system when really the Constitution was drafted and it was promulgated by the people of Ghana. Yeah. You understand? So sometimes when he's a lawyer, so even if he's speaking nonsense because he's a lawyer, so I'm looking at this issue from the eyes of a Ghanaian. I'm a Ghanaian, a normal Ghanaian. You understand? Who is very worried, extremely worried about the fundamental lack of integrity which is strengthening the system of governance we took upon us ourselves. Because the president, the justice of the Supreme Court, the speaker himself, the MPs, they took an oath. All of them took an oath. They took an oath to we call it the oath of allegiance. You understand? To be faithful to Ghana. They all took an oath to defend, to preserve, and to protect the Constitution of Ghana. They took an oath to defend, when they took an oath to protect, preserve, essentially they were taking an oath to protect the purpose of the Constitution. What was the purpose of the Constitution? The purpose of the Constitution is to create a governance structure system that can best guarantee our rights to life, that can best guarantee our liberties, that can best guarantee our right to pursue our individual happiness. You understand? Now, we recognize that the only system where these rights, the oath they took, can be fulfilled is if we have a system which is governed by the rule of law. You understand? And that's, for me, that's the basis. So that we should ask ourselves, in the way the president is handling himself, is he behaving in a manner which will preserve this rule of law? The way the judges are behaving, are they behaving in a manner that will preserve the rule of law? In the way the parliament themselves are behaving? Because you take the rule of law, and as in one of the fundamental principles of the rule of law is an abhorrence for arbitrariness, as a promotion of certainty of the law. So where you have a Supreme Court who faced with a certain situation, very similar, it has to deal with whether or not a parliamentarian's seat is vacant or not. In orders before they even decide, they are quick to grant an injunction. You understand? And so for that period when they got the injunction, the people there were without representation. You understand? And on another breath, they are quick to grant an injunction. You understand? Where all the procedural rules we know really were breached. So then the Supreme Court essentially is telling us that they have unfettered powers. He has that when it comes to go to Article 2 of the Constitution, have the powers to, and you understand? And so then the rule of law, which the oath they all took, the focus of the oath they all took, was to preserve and guarantee for us the rule of law. Is that not being breached? Because right now, after the law is right now, is there any certainty he has done about the processes when you go to court for some of these things? It was at some point, the Supreme Court can say, "Oh, today, we are going A. Tomorrow we are going B." Same issue. Then where is the certainty of the law? You guys, now, President, you took an oath. And all of them, they are seasoned politicians. Because their concern is more for self-preservation as against guaranteeing rule of law. And so in a very simple matter, as in when the 7 January, the debacle of 7 January 2021, where they had no qualms in inviting into the floor of Parliament, the place where we see true representation, they invite the military. They had no qualms. They invite the military. So imagine what would have happened if the wire in the mind of any of the military men tweaked. Yeah, no, it was real. And he cocks his guy and say, "All of you get out. We've taken over." Would we not have been faced with a situation where they themselves just handed over power to the military? You understand? Now you have MPs who took an oath. Now, because they lack integrity, I'm saying their major concern is self-preservation, because you took an oath. Now, the issue that has necessitated all this, it's not something that is new. It's not as if this is the first time. It's happened so many times. In fact, a same circumstance, Speaker just announced, Honorable ACHIAAA has vacated his seat. No problem. The Speaker, again, as in this current Speaker, when some MPs went on in my view, a frolic of their own, started the process to cause them to vacate there. No issue. Now, the MPs being faced with the situation, which in my view has no interpretation matter, in my view, personal opinion. Yeah, because I think the 971 is pretty, 971 is pretty clear. Yes, I remember, and that question is one that is determined by your parties, your party's constitution. That if you go independent, if you contest against somebody, automatically you are deemed to have left your party. But they are quick to subjugate the independence of Parliament. So the majority, the leader of Parliament, he is quick to subjugate the independence of Parliament. to the Supreme Court, who themselves are under the Constitution, because we run a constitutional democracy. So it's not as if the Supreme Court have unfettered power. They do not have unfettered powers, because then that will defeat the purpose for which we took upon ourselves this system of governance, this constitution, which is premised on the principle of constitutionalism, limiting the powers of government. To what end? So what they are doing, my own associate president said, right now we are running a system which can be called a kakistocracy. Ghana, we are not practicing democracy. We shouldn't deceive ourselves and think we are practicing democracy because we all go and vote. We are practicing a system where we sat down, the people of this country, we sat down and have allowed people who don't have scruples. People who don't have scruples, who have no business being in leadership, to take over power, and their concern, their sole concern is how do we preserve ourselves in power. That's their concern. And that's why you have a president who took an oath. You understand? And he's breached every single oath he took. Every single oath he took, he's breached it. I don't want to enumerate, but then I'll take all the time. You understand? And so we've created this weak system, and the MPs have forgotten that their fundamental job is to be a check on the executive. I hear, oh, we are supposed to help the executive. You are supposed to help the people. You are there because of the people. You are not there because of the president. You are there because of every single Ghanaian. Because the reason why we fashion the system is so that our right to life, right that they did not give to us, will be guaranteed. But they don't care about that. That is not their concern. And that's why they don't mind putting us in a situation which can easily cause anybody to subvert our will. And I heard the speaker say, and before I even go there, I must commend the speaker. I have people asking what he do. He is fighting for Ghana. You see, you may agree or you may not disagree. But one day, it's not history. One day, history will judge all of us. Because if there's one certain thing, we all die. We all die about some years, we will not be here. But people will have the opportunity to judge us. What role did we play in this business of building a nation? What role did we play? You understand? And when that job is done, you may agree or you may not disagree with the speaker, but the speaker's name will be written in gold. I'm not saying everything he's done is right. I'm not saying everything he's done is right. You understand? But to consistently, and this is not the first time, to consistently defend the integrity of Parliament, the integrity of the system we took. Yes, because he spoke about this salvation of the will of the people. Because that is what is at risk. In all this, the drama being played in front of all of us. What is at risk is the purpose for which we took upon ourselves the system. And on 7th December, the people are going to need to be asking themselves critical questions. Because you have a party, a major political party who have told you that we believe in liberal democracy. And yet in their character, in their values, in how they are handling themselves, they do not believe in anything concerning liberal democracy. Their argument, when you bring up this issue about the forfeiture in their constitution, they make a very dangerous argument, which tells me, which convinces me that they have no business even existing as a political party, but for the fact that under no circumstances should we also fight against people's freedom to aggregate as a political party. But where I'm saying that the purpose for this constitution is to guarantee the rule of law, and the rule of law abhors arbitrariness. A major political party in Ghana, their leaders can say that, listen, in spite of the clear terms of our constitution, we have a national council who, in spite of the clear terms of our constitution, reserve the power to say, or the right to say that even though our constitution says if you behave in a manner or you are forfeited, they have the right to call you back. That is arbitrary. That is arbitrary. So OHEMAA, you do A, or for OHEMAA there, stay. HE does the same thing, or for HE there, away. Then what's the purpose for why you've been formed as a political party if you don't even believe in the principle of the rule of law? You understand? So listen, we are now a kakistocracy. We are now, and for me, that's my worry. That's my worry. We are being governed by unscrupulous people. People who lack basic integrity to lead. People who are chasing power not because they want to serve. Because the reason why you are granted power, whatever name you call it, I don't have a problem with the word power. Because you are being called into leadership. You are being called to serve. Yeah, you understand? But the reason why they are doing all they are doing is not because they have any commitment to preserve, protect, and defend the rule of law. That is not their purpose. Their focus is self-preservation, to put themselves in power. So they use the power we've granted them to advance programs, very parochial programs, which will advance their personal causes and undermine our collective interest. You understand? And that is what is at stake on 7th December. So, to end, not that I agree with everything the speaker has done, or is doing, or has done in his life, but I can tell you, and forget what the person saying, if the NPP was in power, or if the NDC was in power, you understand, we like this partisan nonsense. The point is that when history is analyzing what is happening, the speaker's name will be written in gold. The speaker's name will be written in gold. It doesn't matter whether he succeeds or whether he fails. But when the time came, when Ghana was under attack, because Ghana is under attack, when Ghana was under attack, the speaker's name will be mentioned of the few people who had the courage, who had the cojones, who had the sense of patriotism in the midst of, and I agree with him, this seemingly collision between the executive and against Ghana. He had the courage to stand up and fight. On 7th December, we won't fight with guns. We are going to fight with our tongues. And I'm saying what is at stake is the rule of law. What is at stake is the sanctity of this country. What is at stake is the safety of this country. And beyond the roads, all those, everything else, when they are going to vote, vote for Ghana. And that vote for Ghana means clearing these people who do not believe in Ghana. Clearing these people, these MPP people, who do not believe in Ghana, who do not believe in the purpose of Ghana, who do not believe in the potential of Ghana. Let's vote them out. And let's grant Honorable Alan John Kojo Chamantin the opportunity to give us the leadership that will cause Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana to rise again. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Councillor ACHIAAA Dankwa. Ambassador, let me come to you. Council says that he does not entirely agree, or is not entirely. No, like in terms of what the speaker is doing, not entirely is he, aligned. But when it comes to defending the Constitution and standing up against arbitrariness, among other things, one day, the speaker's name will be written in gold. Do you agree to say?
Well, one of the basic things that you learn as a first-year student of law is that the law must be certain, and judges should not take decisions that leads to absurdity. As to whether the decision of the Supreme Court has brought us certainty or has led us into absurdity, you are a law student, you know. Now, Kwesi said something that has kept me thinking about what America is doing now. Let's do a small digression. You remember that when this president signed an agreement to allow U.S. base in Ghana for just $20 million. Part of the agreement was that in case there's trouble, they will step in. We are watching them because Americans' intervention in any part of the world has not yielded anything. Now to what is happening in Ghana. Is it a preparation towards something that we all don't envisage? Because when two elephants are fighting, it's the grass that will suffer. Our government has been so bankrupt for the past 7 years, extremely bankrupt, of no ideas. all they are looking for is power. You know, listen to all the political party leaders. Alan said, when I win the election, Muhammad said, when I win the election. But these people say, when we win power. You understand? So when people's orientation is just to win power, we are in trouble. And when they win power, what are they using it for? Grab all the lands that belong to the people. I might drive from here to Roman Ridge cantonments. Go and see the houses that are being built, the value of them, and look at the economic situation of Ghana. That's what they want to grab the power for. Look at a country like Ghana, so blessed with water bodies. You are younger, but Kwesi and I knew that Osagyefo created the Black Star Line with Kupong River, Nakwa River, Pra River, Tano River. All the rivers had ships. If the rivers were as dead as this, would we have been proud to name our ships after them? There's a government that cares less about the humanity of Ghanaians. And look at what they have done to our water bodies. You are a law student. Even under international law, when there's war, you don't pollute the water bodies. For the past 7 years, all of us have been incapable of doing anything because they will send their people after you. But once upon a time, there was a common Nkrumah. Once upon a time, there was Babin. And history would vindicate Babin. What is at stake? I have a group of persons under me as parliamentarians, guided by our own standing orders and our constitution. And all of us know that when the constitution, when the provision of an enactment is so clear, the Supreme Court has said that does not need interpretation. That's not the case. When the constitution, the provisions of the constitution are so clear, who does not know the meaning of vacate? Who does not know the meaning of contesting as an independent candidate? Who does not know the meaning of that? And therefore that calls for interpretation. The Supreme Court has for many times, declined jurisdiction when their jurisdiction has not been properly invoked. The Chief Justice was at pains citing Article 2, which says that if there's an enactment that frowns on the Constitution, the Supreme Court can intervene to give interpretation and enforcement. What is before the Supreme Court? Is it an enactment in jeopardy or what? Or some group of people say that I don't agree. So if myself and Kwesi Pratt don't agree on the meaning of a constitutional, let the Supreme Court take jurisdiction. The Supreme Court must be told in plain terms that they are busy bodying and destroying our democracy. They are busy bodying and destroying our democracy because they have introduced a lot of uncertainty in our law. What was the basis of the Supreme Court Chief Justice crying over her head? The people of those constituencies will be disenfranchised, not so, for 3 months. The same Supreme Court, in the often cited case of Asin North, Jachikwesin, in his case, he was not only removed as a member of parliament, they went ahead to order a by-election. Yeah. Is it the duty of the Supreme Court to order that? To order a by-election. And worse of all, they also ordered that his name should be expunged. And you know what is expungement? That as if he has never existed and contested and won as member of parliament. For 15 months, the people of Asin North did not have a MP. That was not of concern to the Supreme Court. And it's not like the matter did not go to the Supreme Court. It went back and forth for several times, and at all times they denied the people of Asin North for membership of parliament. The cardinal sin rich people's side. The people of Santrofi, Akpafulolobi, Sal, for 4 years. Some people are going to be disenfranchised for about 21 days or 30 days. That is a consent to the Supreme Court. But for 48 months, the people lived as if they are not human beings. That is not of consent to the Supreme Court. And that is where some of us are pained that they are introducing a lot of uncertainties in the law. We all know as lawyers when ex parte applications can be tolerated. Because there are several rulings of the Supreme Court that when a matter concerns somebody, give the person the chance also to be heard. That is the basic principles of law. That is why even people who have killed or murdered others are given the right to be heard. Not so. Natural justice. So when the Supreme Court breaches natural justice on the altar of convenience, we have a cause to complain. I am not going to be a stooge because I'm a lawyer. I'm zipped not to talk about what is not right in our judicial system. And look at my own Ghana bar situation. Anything that the Supreme Court does is right. Look at Kofi Adami. You are standing in court without shame, saying that you should have defended this Chief Justice, the Speaker, not so, in court. But you were sitting there and now joined the Defense Counsel against Tadiosori. What is this? See, me, as old as I am, the only thing about this election is not that I'm going to queue to vote for anybody. The only thing that I'm happy about is that after 9 December, if God willing, we will not hear the name of Akufo-Addo as the president again of this country. Because he has taken us through hell for the past 8 years. In our education, health, even when we are sick, he defrosts us. COVID, he defrosts us. Take our money and just dig a hole for $58 million, and the cost is rising because he has had a dream or whatever with the president. But me, I've lived under Kwame Nkrumah to this time. My only happiness is that after January, after swearing in 7 January, I won't hear the name of Akufo-Addo as the president again. But he is to warn himself. I am happy that he has revised his change, knows that now you hand over to anybody who wins. But the earlier standing that he will hand over only to his successor you want, my goodness, would have shown him where pepper lies. What do you mean? Does Ghana belong to your father or Ghana is for you? As if there are no men in this country. ACHIAAA made a case. On the night of the election of the speaker, who was the president? Had the president been sworn in? Who was the minister? That person who ordered parliament to be invaded, he would answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador Samfiali. Comrade Pratt.
Well, there isn't a lot to say, you understand. Yesterday, I noticed that the speaker made a very, very serious allegation. According to the speaker, there is some collusion between the executive and the judiciary to undermine the work of parliament and by extension to undermine the constitution. That's a serious allegation, really serious allegation. Because the principle behind the constitution we are operating, the principle behind the government system we are trying to work with and so on, is the principle of separation of powers. And parliament really is an expression of the sovereign will of our people. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court is not. Nobody on the Supreme Court was elected by the people of Ghana. They were actually selected by the president. And the extent to which they represent the sovereignty of the people is limited. And in fact, it's only by extension that you can establish the extent to which they represent the sovereignty of the people. But if there's a collusion between the executive and the judiciary, then our democracy has suffered irreparable damage. Seriously, you understand? But that's the Speaker's allegation. I'm more interested in what is likely to unfold today or has unfolded today. Perhaps it's happening because we're in the studio, we wouldn't know. Both sides, NPP and DC, will go to Parliament and haggle over who sits on the majority side. And if that should happen, it will make the business of Parliament impossible. And the Speaker will have no option than to suspend the sittings of Parliament. So nothing would have been achieved by the so-called majority side. Now, I am completely baffled as to why you have a majority in a parliament like this and a minority in a parliament like this. 137 for NPP, 137 for NDC. One independent candidate. If you make reference to Article 97, Clause 1 of the Constitution, that independent ought to remain as an independent. You understand? So this thing about majority and minority is mind-boggling. But part of the blame is for the Speaker. The part of the blame is on the Speaker, who made a declaration that there was a majority group and minority group and explained that he was not referring to party caucuses because that would infringe the Constitution. That declaration, I still can't make head or tail of it. You understand? But be that as it may, Parliament appears to be in some kind of a quagmire. Be that as it may, I don't see any signs today of the resolution of the matters before us as a people and how government business can be run, in Parliament. I've listened to many people. One of the people I've listened to is Justice Dutse, who was judge of the Court of Appeal. And he says that, look, in these circumstances, insisting on interpretation of the Constitution and so on is not going to help anybody. And what we need are people who have a dedication to the preservation of the democratic order in Ghana. And as far as is concerned, Parliament is a place of debate. Parliament is a place of negotiation, and Parliament is a place, for reaching compromise and so on. And that we should try other methods of ensuring that we secure some reasonable, workable atmosphere in order for government business to run. Now, this whole thing about majority, minority, and so on, does it affect how people vote in the House? Indeed, in other places, and even here, the Speaker himself became Speaker when the numbers were not in contention. You understand? Obviously, some people on the NPP side decided that he should be Speaker instead of Michael Quay. That's how he became Speaker. So this my side and your side does not always work. Otherwise, Bagby would not be the Speaker. You understand? And given the current situation, oh my God, it's so obvious. I don't know how people can't see it. MPP cannot be sure of securing the votes of all the 137 persons on its side. So this rigmarole about we are the majority, so it doesn't mean anything. Any vote today in Parliament, MPP will not get 137 votes. So look, let's do what has to be done. Some say the needful and so on. So then the final analysis, we can head towards 7th December peacefully. Okay? So that on 7th December, the people's will manifest. And the people's will manifest in a manner that would show or that would endorse what our thumbs have done in the ballot box. Finish. Now, if there's anybody who is dreaming about anything else, they will remain in cuckoo's land. They will remain in the dreamland forever, because the real world will put up massive resistance. Massive. I mean, and I can assure them, if anybody tries to play hanky-panky with the will of the people on December 7th, between December 7th and January 7th, they are calling for trouble. They are calling for trouble. No vigilante group, no force can prevent the full expression of 7th, 2025. They should understand that clearly. And I know this country. I've been in this country, all my age. You understand? And even have the privilege of participating in many things, including the agitation which brought this constitution into being. And I can assure everybody and anybody that this time, they're not going to get it easy at all. And they should remember that they are dealing with a country whose people overthrew British colonialism at the time when Britain was said to be ruling the waves. They should understand that. We overthrew British colonialism here, us Ghanaians. Okay? When the CIA thought that it could change the order of things in Ghana and so on, they were surprised. Because we defeated them again and again. You understand? And all those who have thought that they can sit on our necks have disappointed themselves. I recall very clearly Jerry Rawlings in 1982 or 83 asking us, those of us who wanted a return to multi-party democracy, that who should he hand over to? I think there was nobody. He handed over. Even at the time when he was alive, he was forced to hand over. You understand? He was forced to sign the Constitution into being, and so on. And today we are here. Even if Jerry Rawlings could not do it, who had a popular base could not do it, who is going to do it now? Bawumia? Or Nana Akufo-Addo? We are waiting for you. I hope that nothing untoward happens. I hope that things go well. But if they push us into an arena where things don't go well, we will make sure that things go well. Finish.
I'm here thinking of what Cuckoo's land is and where Cuckoo's land is.
No, you always know.
Thank you very much, Comrade Kwesi Pratt. Now, our viewers also have some concerns coming through. This one says, good morning, OHEMAA and your panelists. This is Joseph from Dunkwa Fin. Lawyer ACHIAAA Dankwa always speaks my mind. I have been watching him on several stations and his submissions are always with substance. Indeed, may God bless Ghana with more of such people. And for the NPP, we should take solace in the fact that their days are numbered. And not only will they go into opposition, but perpetual opposition. My greetings to Uncle Kwesi. May God continue to bless him with good health. Thank you very much. This one also says that, OHEMAA, it is true that the Chief Justice... Oh, is it true that the Chief Justice has traveled out of the country? Well, I wouldn't know that. She has. Right. Okay. Is she trying to avoid the imminent disgrace after Speaker Gbagbo cleared the air that there is no constitutional crisis? Question mark. I hope she comes back quickly to rectify her mess. Ni Mensa, Sprinters Road. Okay, thank you very much. This one also says that, good morning, OHEMAA. A few months ago, there was strong intel that the government of Nana Addo was planning to fake a coup and declare a state of emergency so the government would call off the election. But that failed because the matter leaked into the international media. OHEMAA, the only option left is the convenience between the executive and the judiciary to create a situation where the legislature will have a divided house, resulting in its not being functional, and the government now execute the failed coup agenda. All this is vanity. Stephen Penn. Wow, thank you very much, Stephen. Let me do a few more and we carry on. Okay. Good morning. Please remember the song the speaker sang yesterday. Okay. In a very bad voice, Comrade Pratt says. Good morning, OHEMAA. Our present Supreme Court, as constituted, are doing politics more than law. Mike Pokwase. Okay, last one. Politics has rendered people who should know better, including some elites in the society, senseless and stupid. Okay. Politics today, especially during this Akufo-Addo-Bawumia era, has been so compromised such that white is proved to be black, or 1 + 1 is equal to 3, and the citizens are asked to believe such hypothesis. Amagana. All right, interesting one coming in. We'll be reading more of your messages, but our time is almost up, but I think we can do a bit more on our topics. Our next topic has to do with the fact that the NPP is disappointed in EC over the denial of accreditation to printing houses. On Ambassador Sampiale, you are reacting with.
We could also add that to
Kennedy Japan. Yes, absolutely. And by extension, Kennedy Japan has also warned NPP against complacency. So if we could, put those two together in your submission, we'll be grateful.
Is the NPP now complaining about the EC?
But please tell me why you were laughing or not, Ambassador.
Isn't it funny?
It is.
That for 8 years, since the removal of Charlotte Osei, the NPP has defended everything and anything by the EC. Now you are denied a small accreditation, you are crying. What about the people who were denied voting? I don't see any substance in the NPP crying. Of course, today I learned that the person that they gave the accreditation to, who is an NPP organizer also, failed to go to the place. But not the EC that who did it. Now you see a boy with a ball. Do you know, in a village, you see a boy with a ball. Touch him small, maybe with him, Bobo Nibi. That's what the NPP is doing, crying all the time. I believe that these elections will be won by people who deserve it, not the NPP. What is Kennedy Japan saying? That they should not be competent. Competency is that when you know that you have won and that you are just bluffing. But these people, NPP, they have lost. He himself said that NPP lost in 2020. No, so he himself said it. So where is his credibility? I have seen many videos of him saying that Bawumia is not competent to be a president. I have seen many videos of my good friend Japan, the other Japan, Kobra Japan, saying very good things about Bawumia. I mean good things. He said, oh, Bawumia, when the economy, you said what? The economy was this and that, strategies, my foot. He said it all. Now if he's the same person talking about, I don't mind, I don't want to bother my head about this. But the real point is this. The EC, like Kwesi said, and any other institution that seeks to or plan to rig this election will be rigged, he himself or herself will be rigged. And we mean it. Because the people of Ghana cannot be fooled and raped and abused all the time. Here's an elected commissioner who announces 5 results at the same time. And nobody cares. This Akufo-Addo, to become president, 8 Ghanaian souls were lost. He had never mentioned it even in his speech. And you think we should sit down for you to just dump Bawumia on us? No way. No way. My greetings to my son-in-law, Kwame Owusu-Danso. I've missed him.
Absolutely.
Tell him that I've missed him.
You here.
What?
Council, what are you saying about this very word?
Kwame Owusu-Danso, His Excellency, the next Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, you must ask that. You must add that. Otherwise,
Can you see the bombastic side?
he's the next Vice President. Yes, proud father-in-law of the next Vice President of Ghana. But give you the full compliment of his of the title. You see, when I was a young man, you hear some of these names, mention Japan and all these people, and So we were, or let me talk for myself. I was in awe of them. I never thought, and honestly, I never thought there'll be a time when I'll be sitting here saying my thoughts about how politics is done in this country. But what Anadu reign has done is it has exposed a lot of people we held dear, because like I keep on saying, my personal view is that I don't really, or it's not my place to determine whether somebody is right or somebody is wrong. I don't think I have the right to determine that. But at least one thing we all respect is consistency of thought. You understand? Integrity of thought. Yeah, you understand? I think I've said it so many times that I want to say it here. Right now, when we are talking about one of the most respected political figures in this country, it has to be Uncle Kwesi Pratt. And it's not because you agree with how he sees life, how he sees politics, but you can't help but respect the consistency in his position. Yeah, you understand? All these people, right now, personally, when they say look left, I know if I look left, maybe there'll be some danger there. They don't have integrity. They don't have integrity. And what makes them even more dangerous is the fact that they don't love their country. They don't love their country. Because you see, if you are talking about leadership, all this disinformation, I insist that when we are going to vote for the president, we are actually voting for human being, not the party. The party you only sponsor. So where you've told us, first what was in your mind, we didn't know, but you've told us, that person, but that Baumia is not competent. That Baumia has failed. Baumia can't do this, he can't do that, he can't do this, he can't do that. And in spite of all that, you can look back into our face and say that we should still vote for him. The person you are convinced cannot take the country to where it needs to be. Then you, the person, it's not about Baumia. Then we start looking at you, the person. They realize that, are you even fit to be leading? And this by have been MPs, they've led the political discourse of this country. Then it tells us, or it tells me, the reason why we are where we are as a country. Because people who we've given our powers to, who have led, they are the forefront of political discourse in this country, clearly do not have the integrity of conviction. They are not patriots. Their focus is parochial. What am I going to get out of this? So that when they are in parliament, and it makes me start questioning, or they take decisions. These are people who have in place positions where they take decisions. It start makes me, or it start makes us question their thought processes, or what makes them take decisions they take. Is it because of Ghana, or is it because of their self-preservation? That's a worry. And I keep on saying, the first decision in this cycle is the decision of the people of Ghana. Fortunately, right now we know some of these people. And so let's give our powers to people who at least have demonstrated a love for this country, have demonstrated an integrity of conviction. You understand? It's not about the party. Yes, the party is about this, but ultimately, it's about Ghana. You understand? And so for the MPP, throwing this story out about accreditation is easy. They are not serious. For me, right now, when you talk about MPP, it's the most unserious political party in this country, because immediately a senior member of their party went on national television, you understand, to tell all of us that they don't even respect the rule of law. At that point, I realized that they have no business being a political party.
Council, who was that?
It was the MP for Tolon. I've deleted his name from my head, so I don't even know his name.
He
but
said expressly
on news file. In fact, he was with my own professor Ayeni on that news file show.
They don't have regard for the rule of law.
No, he didn't say it explicitly that way. But when you see that, in spite of your constitution, which clearly says that if you support, if yourself you contest against a candidate the party has sponsored, if you support a candidate against the candidate the party has sponsored, you forfeit your membership. Yeah. And he adds that, in sort of that, the National Council reserves the right, and it's not just him, a number of people have advanced. In fact, last week, Salia came to advance the same argument here. And when you consider what they did to ACHIAAA, where they suddenly reconvened a meeting to what's called reconstitute the rules of engagement. Clearly, must we even have a debate that the NPP as a political body do not believe in the rule of law? This NPP, they do not believe in the rule of law. And maybe you have a party who does not believe in the rule of law. And we know that when you are talking about building the right political culture, that will guarantee us the rule of law. The political parties are major players. You understand? So immediately, in my mind, I've deleted them. You can't justify their essence as a political institution if you lose focus in why you are political parties in the first place, to create that system which will guarantee us the rule of law. Because that's the only way in which the purpose for which we construct the system of governance can be achieved. So, forgive me, but I think by now the people of Ghana should know them. We should start questioning their choices and their decisions. We need to understand that what fuels them is not Ghana. What fuels them is their self-preservation. They are the major reasons why we are quickly ceasing to be a democracy and we are heading towards a kakistocracy.
Right, thank you very much, Council. To wrap it up for us will be Comrade Christy Pratt, and then we read some messages and we're out.
Well, Ghana is becoming a very interesting country. So many very interesting things are happening. I mean, NPP complaining about the performance of the Electoral Commission. My goodness, something is happening. NPP, is dissatisfied with the performance of the Electoral Commission? Wow, interesting. And I won't say anything beyond that. Very interesting. But you see, over the last 2 weeks, there is something which I'm noticing. NPP communicators and leaders are all of a sudden telling us that they have conducted some poll, and that poll has not been made public. And that on the basis of that poll, Bawumia is winning the next elections. Now, what is interesting is that they all give different figures. One poll. Some say you win by 51%. Some say 52, 53. The other time I saw someone say 58%. Hey. So what poll did you conduct which found out that on the basis of the empirical evidence, he will win by 58%, and the same poll found that he will win by 51%? A certain level of consistency is important even when you decide to play these psychological games. By playing these psychological games, and there's no consistency. Then now we have Akompre Kennedy Japan, who has come to say that, hey, you guys don't think that we're winning this election. No. The indications are very bad. So some indications exist outside the secret poll they have conducted, which tells them that they win by 58%, 51%, and 53%. I think that, look, they should take us more seriously than they do now. I mean, I think sometimes they think that the rest of us, all we have in our heads are sawdust. We don't have sawdust in our head. We have the same brain matter they have in their heads. And in fact, all of us went to the same schools. We were taught by the same teachers. We live in the same community, and so on. So they shouldn't think under any circumstance that they can dribble us. Nobody is going to dribble us. In any case, if the outcome of the December 7th elections will be decided by pollsters and polls, then why do we vote on December 7th? Then just call the pollster and say, hey, tell us who is the popular person. And we just follow the pollster and then declare the president. But the results will not be determined by pollsters. The results will not be determined by strange polls which have 10 different outcomes. It will be determined in the ballot box. You understand? A sanitized ballot box or sanitized ballot boxes will determine the results of the elections, and everybody should get that clear. You understand? I have said elsewhere that all of us as citizens of Ghana are enjoined to defend the Constitution. and to defend the Constitution at the peril of our lives. The Constitution makes it clear. The Constitution is not even opposed to recourse to arms in its defense. I mean, read the Constitution very carefully. If the Constitution is being subverted, the people of Ghana have the right imposed upon themselves by the Constitution to pick up weapons. It's in the Constitution. I'm not making it up and so on. Okay? So those who think that they are so smart, so clever, so powerful, that they can defy the people on December 7th should think again.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Kwesi Pratt. Of course, you can trust us to bring you insightful conversations here, insightful analysis and in-depth conversations that matter to you and that shape our political landscape. I'm going to read just 2 messages because we are hard-pressed with time and my producer keeps cautioning me. But this one says that, ask the MPP what's the stand for the 3 MPs currently per their constitution and on what ticket or seat are they now in Parliament? Right, interesting. Let me take this one. It says that, love your discourse, but was looking forward to hearing EC's voters register. All right, we'll put that into consideration. Thank you so much for always choosing us to bring the very best. My name is OHEMAA AGYEKUM, and I want to thank my esteemed guest, soon to be honorable, Councillor ACHIAAA Dankwa. Thank you so much for coming. Esquire. Yeah. Esquire. Yeah. And thank you so much to you, Comrade Kwesi Pratt. Thank you so much, and to you, His Excellency Sampiale. HE. And thank you so much to our crew, to Frank Akakpo, to TT, to Gifty, to Searchers, and to you all. Thank you. My name is OHEMAA AGYEKUM. See you tomorrow.